Whipple, have you sent the updated jury instructions to
I will
Jennifer?
send that right now.
And you can make the changes now, removing defendant not testifying and including that paragraph, defendant becoming a witness. All right, let's practice, Mr. Tower. Practice getting up once you fix the chair.
One down there.
All right, does that work? All right, practice getting up without making noise with your feet. Okay.
So right now, when you start talking, just pull it closer.
Okay, you got it?
Yes.
Okay, both sides ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes,
All right,
Your
let's
Honor.
bring the jurors in. So Ms. Frabler, you're gonna rest on the record. I'll turn to Mr. Gilman and you can call your client, Mr. Tower, as a witness. Let's bring the jurors in.
All rise, jurors enter.
All right, everybody may be seated. All right, state.
Your Honor, the state is resting its case in chief.
All right, the state has rested their case in chief, so I'll turn to the defense. Mr. Gilman.
Defense calls Dima Tower.
All right, Mr. Tower, can you please stand and face the clerk? Madam Clerk, can you swear in the witness?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
You may be seated. Mr. Gilman, when you're ready.
Can you just move up a little closer and make sure you're talking in the microphone there, okay? Can you please tell us your name?
Dima James Tower.
And Mr. Tower, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, and where, I noticed you have an accent. Where were you born?
I was born in Ukraine,
What part of Ukraine?
in far east part, Luhansk. That is borders with Russia.
And when did you come to live in the United States?
I came in, believe I came in 2015.
So you were living in Ukraine in February of 2014 when there was an incursion into Crimea? I use a lot of big words there. I'm sorry. Were you living in Ukraine in February of 2014?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you living when you were in Ukraine before you came to the United States? Where were you living? Like
Well,
what type of house?
before the orphanage?
No, I was talking about the orphanage. Tell me about that. What type of place was that?
Should I talk about my life before the orphanage, or?
We will, sure. How did you end up getting to an orphanage?
I'm gonna check all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll allow brief background, very, very brief. So let's not spend too much time. Okay?
Sure. And Your Honor, actually, if we could approach briefly.
You may.
So how old were you when your mother passed away?
Well, my mother passed away. You know, I would like to talk about, before I would start about talking about my life before my mother passed away.
I understand that.
You know,
The issue that is that I'm hoping that you can respond to the questions.
Yeah, I can respond to the
Sure.
questions, but
Okay, so your mother, how old were you when your mother passed away?
I'm somewhere between 6, 7, or 8.
Okay,
I was thinking about this somewhere between those years.
okay.
But, I mean, if maybe I can give a little bit of my personal background or something.
Mr. Tower, the way it's going to work the same with all witnesses. You need to listen to the question and then answer only the question that's been asked of you, okay?
Well, it's important that
It may be important, but you need to follow the rules in the courtroom, okay? Please ask your next question.
Sure. Were you just living only with your mom when she passed?
yes,
Okay.
I was.
And then who did you go to live with after that?
I went to live with my brother.
Okay. How long did that last for?
Maybe a couple months. So
Okay. And then where did you go?
I went to my uncle's house.
Okay. How long did that last for?
Couple months.
And you eventually end up in the foster care system in Ukraine, correct?
Objection leading.
Yeah, I was in 2 orphanage or for foster care, orphanages, whatever they call that. The first one I was in before the war, and then
Objection.
I was-
non-responsive.
Overruled. I think he's trying to give a time frame of when he was in the orphanage. You can answer the question.
I was in the first orphanage in that same region I was born in, the same side of Ukraine. And then when the war started, we were moved to another part of Ukraine, which is somewhere close to the sea.
And was it around that time that you met the Towers, that they came over to meet you?
Yes, I met him at I believe it was end of summer of 2013. I met him. Well, I actually met him over here after I was sent to visit for a month in the States. I flew in and met him at the airport.
Was that
For
the first time that you had met them?
That was for the first time, yes.
And how long after that do you come to this country?
Well, I also came for the second visit. That summer of 2014, I came for the second visit to meet the rest of the family.
And then you come to live permanently when? In 2015?
Well, I was adopted right before the 2015. I was adopted that winter, And I came to live here in 2015 years.
Okay. Did you go to school here in Sarasota County?
The questions that you're asking me are very complicated, and cannot be simply answered, but I'm forced to simply answer the questions, which cannot, for no right reason, can be answered simply. These are not simple questions.
Your Honor, I object to the editorializing by this witness. Other witnesses are not allowed to have this kind of conversation with counsel.
Let's try not to have speaking objections, Counselor. I'll sustain the objection as non-responsive. Please move on, Mr. Gilman.
Do you remember talking to law enforcement in this case and telling them that you went to Northport High School for a little while?
Yeah, right after I was adopted, I went to the school in Northport, Woodland Middle School. And then after I did a half a year in that, I enrolled in Northport High School.
Okay.
Which I dropped out of in 10th grade.
Okay. And did you know any English before you came to the United States?
No,
How did you learn English?
by conversating here and there, small talk.
All right. And how long did you live with the Towers prior to, either graduating high school or moving out?
Again, this is a complicated question, and
Objection to narrative.
the answer, it can be very long because I moved in, I moved out.
Objection to narrative.
I'm going to sustain the objection as non-responsive.
Okay. You said you dropped out after 10th grade. Did you move out after that?
No, I stayed, but I didn't really move out on my own. It's just too many family issues.
Okay. And you were not living with them. When did you move back in with them prior to August the 31st of 2023?
I don't understand the question.
So in August of 2023, which is the incident that we're talking about, how long prior to that were you back living with the house? Because I know you had just moved back there, correct?
Well, yeah, I assumed that
Do you need a moment, Mr. Tower?
Ask for the.
Remember the jurors, let's take a break. Please leave your notepads face down, writing implements on top. Please don't discuss anything related to your jury. Everybody stand, jurors exiting. All right, Mr. Gibbon, why don't you spend a moment with your client? We can't tolerate this kind of behavior here in the courtroom. I've already spoken to your client about it. So let's take a 5-minute break. Let's let the defense have an opportunity to talk to the defendant to see if he can go forward on the stand. Tower, are you okay and able to continue?
yes,
Okay. You understand why we took the break, right? I can't have that kind of show of emotion in front of the jury and that applies to you and every other witness. You might recall I even said that about the folks in the audience. Do you recall that, Mr. Tower?
I do.
Okay. Are you able to move forward in that?
I am.
position? Okay. Also, Mr. Tower, the way a jury trial works is the attorneys, their job is to ask questions and your role as a witness is to answer the questions that are asked of you. You understand?
I understand.
Mr. Gilman, anything we have to discuss before we move forward?
No, Your Honor.
You had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Tower about
I
the
did.
procedure and how we move forward?
I did.
All right, anything else to discuss with the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, both sides ready to bring the jurors back in?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring the jury back in, please.
All rise, jury's entered.
All right, everybody may be seated. Welcome back, members of the jury. All right, Mr. Gilman, when you're ready, please continue.
All right. And Mr. Tower, I want to focus you on when you sat down and talked with the police down there in Venice. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. Was that the first time that you had ever had that kind of encounter with police?
Yes.
How'd that make you feel?
Objection.
Awkward. Made me feel awkward.
Hold on.
Hold on, one moment. I'll overrule the objection.
Okay. Why would you say it makes you feel awkward?
Because I'm uncomfortable talking because I had many miscommunication and or not enough communication or misunderstanding with my adopted parents. So I grew up into not knowing how to talk.
Objection, non-responsive.
Overruled. It was completing the answer. You may continue, Mr. Gilman.
So when you were talking with the police, did you understand everything that they were asking you?
I did.
Did you feel like you answered appropriately given that you were uncomfortable?
No.
Okay. Do you remember talking with them about multiple times having thoughts of killing your parents?
Yeah, I only had those thoughts a couple times.
Okay. Did you ever have a plan in place to make that happen?
No, I did not.
I don't think I have anything further, Judge.
State cross-examination, you ready?
Are you going to look me in the eye, Mr. Tower? Guess not. So you said you didn't think about killing your parents.
This is gonna get very interesting, guys.
I did not plan on it.
Mr. Tower,
It was not premeditated.
Mr. Tower, when I ask you a question, you can answer, but not until then. You pulled out a sharp knife and you walked into your parents' bedroom, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. What were you thinking about between the time you took that sharp knife, walked into your parents' bedroom, and started to stab your father in the dark?
I wasn't thinking anything.
You weren't thinking anything.
What is there to think?
I don't know. Your parents were sound asleep, weren't they?
I don't know.
Was your father awake when you started to stab him?
It was pitch black.
You picked up a knife from the kitchen and you cowardly went into
Objection,
your,
argumentative.
Sustained.
were your parents awake?
I don't know if they were awake. I already answered it.
Sustained.
You asked me a second time.
What did you say?
You asked me a second time the same question.
Oh my God. Come on.
What did your father say after you stabbed him?
What the hell are you doing?
And then what happened? Did you stab him again?
Yes.
Okay, what were you thinking about between the first stab and the second stab?
There's nothing to think.
Nothing to think. You
What,
haven't-
what am I supposed to think then?
Listen to me, you don't, there was nothing to think, that's your answer, all right. So, you're telling me that as a human being, you walk into your father's bedroom with your mother sleeping next to him. The parents that brought you over here,
Objection, argumentative, compound question.
These people were not my parents.
Hold on. I'm gonna overrule the objection. It's a bit compound-ish.
Ungrateful. Ungrateful.
the parents that brought you over here to this country, and you weren't thinking anything.
These people were not my parents. There's a lot went on that changed our relationship.
That's not my question. My question is, are you telling this jury that you won't even look in the eye that the people who brought you over here and gave you a home, that you were stabbing them and you didn't think anything of it? Is that what you're saying?
Answer's too complicated for you.
No, it's not a complicated answer. It's a yes or it's a no.
It's not. It's a complicated answer.
However, you told the detectives that you were a nobody from nowhere, didn't you?
When I was talking to detectives, I was not in my completely right state of mind.
Mr. Tower, did you tell the detectives that you were a nobody from nowhere?
I just answered your question.
No, you didn't.
I said I was not in my right state of mind when I was talking to detectives. It just went on a lot, you
I'll
know.
let the jury recall what they heard.
Objection, argumentative.
I was under the influence of alcohol also.
I'll sustain that it's unresponsive. He's not answering your question.
Your parents,
They were not my parents, unfortunately.
Sir, you cannot interrupt the attorney. Wait for them to finish their question, and then you can answer the question asked of you, okay? Please ask your question.
Mr. Tower, the people that brought you over here, they gave you an opportunity to be a somebody from somewhere, didn't they?
It depends on their parenting.
What?
It depends on their parenting, how you raise your children.
Depends on the what?
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
No,
Have you ever been a mother of children?
After you stabbed your father to death, you walked outside with a knife in your hand because Jennifer was outdoors, wasn't she?
I was temporarily insane.
Sir, can you please?
Oh my
sit back on
God.
the microphone. It's difficult to hear you. Thank you.
All right. When you walked out of the house after you killed your father, did you carry the knife with you to lead Jennifer back in?
I did.
You did or did not? I can't
I
understand.
said I did.
You did. You took the knife with you to go out and
Oh my
find your
God. She should
the
have
person
ran.
that adopted you?
Yes, I was temporarily insane, as I said.
Temporarily insane.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Members of the jury, I'm going to ask that you strike that last response. There is no insanity defense. There is no evidence presented in this trial to insanity. So I will just order that you not receive that answer. It's irrelevant, not permissible during this trial. Okay? Please ask your next question.
Thank you. Were you thinking
Why
about
not?
killing your mother when you went outside with the knife and led her back in?
What do you mean by thinking?
Did your parents buy you a car?
Objection outside the scope?
Overruled.
What does has to do with this?
Did your parents buy you a car? Answer my question.
Well, I know where your question is. I know, I
Answer
don't
my
understand.
question,
I don't
Mr.
understand your
Tower.
question. I don't understand it.
Did your parents buy you a car?
I don't understand this question.
Did your parents get you a bank card?
Yes, and I don't understand it.
Are
What's the point of this question?
Did your parents get you a bank card?
So,
Did you have a TV in your room?
no. What's the point of these questions?
You told the detectives that you were thinking about killing your parents for the last several days. Isn't that true?
That is not true.
Were you in the courtroom when your recording was played? Mr. Tower,
I was
were you listening?
listening.
And did you hear that you were telling the detectives that you were thinking about that for more than a day?
Again,
You don't remember that? part?
again, I did not know what I was saying. Also, I only taught this a couple of times. This was not a constant thought in my head.
Okay, so you thought about it at least a couple times before you did it?
No, I taught it one time, and the second time I taught it, I did it. There was no thinking about it.
You thought about it the first time and then you put it off. Then you thought about it the second time and then you went and did it. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So when you thought about it the first time, where were you?
Probably in the car somewhere.
Where in the car? Parked in front of your house?
Possibly. Very possibly.
Very possibly.
Well, I don't remember. You asking me a question that happened a long time ago. I don't remember.
Okay. Why did you ask your mother to go back inside the house?
Brought her off the street. I don't know.
Because you wanted to kill her, didn't you? Did you hear the doctor talk about how many times you stabbed your mother, Jennifer Towers, the person that you say is not your mother? How many times did you stab her?
You're talking to someone who has no understanding.
You don't understand that question?
No, you don't understand what you're saying.
How many times did you stab your mother?
I didn't know.
More than once?
And more than once. I don't know how many times.
More than twice?
You've seen it how many times? So we were all in here. You've seen it.
Because these members of the jury have a right to hear what you have to say.
Objection, Your Honor.
They don't hear what I say because I'm not allowed to say
Let's
it.
not have an argument between you and the witness, okay? Let's ask your next question, please.
These jurors are not allowed
Did
to
you-
what I have to say.
Hold on. Mr. Tower, You need to wait until the question is finished and then answer the question that's asked of you, okay? Please ask your next question.
Thank you. You told the detectives that you stabbed your mother to death, but not until you finished what you had to say to her. What did you have to say to her that night?
There was a lot went on between the three of us.
What did you say to your mother before you stabbed her to death?
I'm answering your question. You're not listening. There was a lot that went on between the three of us. It wasn't just a parents and a child.
So there was a lot that went on among the three of you, correct?
That's what I just said.
Okay.
That I'm being stopped from talking about.
How old were you when you killed Jennifer and Robbie Tower?
21?
You were a grown man, weren't you?
No, I was not. You don't know the definition of a grown man.
At 21 years old, why didn't you just move out if you didn't like the people that you were living with? Why didn't you just move out?
The age has nothing to do with it.
Mr. Tower, why didn't you just move out if you didn't like the people you were living with?
I did move out a long time ago. I came back.
You went to West Virginia, didn't you?
Before West Virginia, I moved out. I just told you there was a lot that went on between the three of us. That the judge and the state won't let me talk.
Mr. Tower, do you believe in free will?
There's no free will. You know, we're all controlled in the states.
Mr.
Especially-
Tower, answer my question. It's a simple question. Do you believe that people have free will?
The answer, the question is not simple. If you look around, this is bigger than us.
When you went to live in West Virginia, how long were you up there?
I lived other places before West Virginia.
I didn't ask you about that. I asked you how long you lived in West Virginia.
Maybe 9 months, 10 months,
And what were you doing up there?
working.
Who set you up in that place to live in West Virginia?
There was a church that I found. The pastor over there helped me.
You were living with Jennifer's father in West Virginia, weren't you?
That was a long time ago before I went to West Virginia to live on my own.
Please answer
You get
my
it mixed, but
question.
you get
Mr.
the
Tower,
questions mixed up.
Mr. Tower, did you live with Jennifer's father in West Virginia?
That was a long time ago. That was not during the time when I went there by myself.
Why did you go to live in West Virginia when you were living with Jennifer's father?
The time that I did go to West Virginia to live with her father was because
Because why?
I'm gonna answer. Let me think about it. We were having fights in the family, and I was gonna visit. I was gonna see him for
Could we
maybe
have
for a
him
couple-
move away
maybe
from
for
the
a couple
microphone
months.
so we can hear?
Away from them, please.
maybe for a couple months. I was gonna visit him until I went to Job Corps.
Yeah, who set you up in the Job Corps? Jennifer, didn't she?
What is your point?
Did Jennifer set you up in the Job Corps?
No,
Did Jennifer set you up to live with her father in West Virginia?
no. What is the point of your question?
Remember, you're under oath, Mr. Tower. You're
I know I'm
under
under
oath to tell
oath.
the truth.
You're making no point in your questions. You're forgetting there was
Mr. Tower, you
the
need to
father.
wait for a question to be asked of you and then answer the question, please. Please ask your next question.
You made Jennifer and Robbie's life in their home a living hell, didn't you, Mr. Tower?
Again, there was a lot that went on. That
Yes,
yes, but
yes.
some adults don't know how to be
yes.
parents. Yes.
You made their life a living
Yeah,
hell.
no, I didn't. There's some adults don't know how to be parents. You don't know what you're talking about.
In fact,
I came from a harsh environment.
many people come from a harsh
Yeah,
environment
but
and they don't kill their
you gotta
parents.
know how to treat those people correctly so they right grow up properly.
Yeah, so how do you need to be treated?
I have been treated. It's too late for that. I'm adult now. But you're talking as if you don't know how to be a parent and you don't know what it takes.
Are you a parent?
No, I'm not a parent, but you're asking me a
You made their life
Pointless
a
question.
living hell. In fact, your father told you that you were destroying his marriage
If I
to his
made
wife. Isn't it true?
if I made their life a
Mr.
living hell,
Folks,
that's probably
hold-
had
hold
something
on,
to do
hold
with
on.
them.
The two of you are just talking over each
No,
other.
he's
Ms.
refusing to
Blakely,
answer.
you're asking a question, he begins to answer, and then you add to your question. Mr. Tower, when she's speaking, you then begin to answer. And what's happening is none of us are catching the question nor the answer. So let's please follow the procedure that we've done all throughout the trial. Let's please do a question, then we'll do a pause, and then the answer. Mr. Tower, I need you to answer the question and not ad lib and add to it. Okay, sir? Please ask your next question, Ms. Freitas.
Did your father tell you that you were disrupting his marriage to Jennifer Tower, his wife?
My Jennifer told me that before the adoption, that in the beginning,
He's not
Rob,
responding.
I'm responding. Rob did not want to adopt at all, and then he wanted to adopt a daughter, and then finally he agreed to adopt a son. So he didn't really want to adopt to begin with.
Mr. Tower, there was no question related to wanting to adopt other children. The question was calling for a yes or no response. If
Well,
you
he
could
didn't
please-
really want to adopt me, is what I'm saying.
Mr. Tower, if you can please listen to the question and answer yes or no. Please ask the question again.
Thank you. Did your father tell you that you were destroying his marriage to Jennifer?
I was not destroying his marriage to
That's not
Jennifer.
the question, sir. The question was, did your father tell you that? Did your father tell you that, yes or no?
What do you want me to say? He doesn't know how to love his wife. What do you want me to say?
Right, I'll sustain the objection as unresponsive. He's unable to answer. Please move on to your next question.
Who paid for your flights in 2013 and 2014?
As stated, at some point, I'm going to cut off all these questions about perhaps benevolent acts. You can go a bit further, but let's start to move on, okay? I'll overrule the objection. You may finish your question.
Yes, who paid for your flights to the United States in 2013 and 2014?
This question is pointless, but however, the company who provided who had something to do with adoption did. And I don't understand what's the point of this question either.
Why did you drop out of high school?
Because I was being brainwashed, as the rest of the children are.
You dropped out of high school because you were on the verge of getting expelled, weren't you, Mr. Tower?
What expelled? Do you even know what they teach in schools? What are you talking
Mr.
about?
Tower, answer my question.
I'm answering your question. You don't know what you're saying. These schools today, they don't teach anything the kids should know. And the schools are not for everyone.
Mr. Tower, you dropped out of high school because you were on the verge of getting expelled from high school.
No, I wasn't. I'm telling you that. You ever been to school? You know that schools don't teach kids proper education.
Mr. Tower, stop talking.
I'm talking because you don't know what you're talking about.
All right, let's move on to the next question. His answer was no. Please move on to your next question.
In fact, you were about to get expelled because you were fighting with other children in the school and on the bus, weren't you, Mr. Tower?
No, I wasn't. I just told you what happened.
How old were you when you dropped out of high school?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? How old were you when you were in 10th grade?
I said I don't remember.
When you were sitting out in your car before you went into the house on the night of August 31st, did you decide to kill your parents before you walked in?
Yes.
I don't have anything else. Thank you, Your Honor.
You redirect, Mr. Gilman?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, we're going to take a short break, 5-minute break. Please leave your notepads turned over, face down, writing implements on top. Everybody, please stand. Jurors are exiting. All right, everybody may be seated. Mr. Tower, you can return to your table next to your lawyer, sir. Mr. Gilman, any additional evidence, sir?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state any rebuttal witnesses.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So what we can do is we can bring the jurors back in. Mr. Gilman, you can rest on the record. Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll send the jurors home. It's 3:53. We'll have a brief discussion on jury instructions, and then we'll
Oh my God. Ugh. Oh my God, this is fucking crazy. Oh,
All right, everybody may be seated.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've probably worn out that carpet by now, going back and forth. But let's continue where I left off. So what we have to focus on are the instructions for law and the evidence in this case. And you have those instructions in front of you, but I have the elements of first-degree murder up on the screen. So to prove the crime of first-degree premeditated murder, the charge that the state has laid against the defendant, actually 2 counts, but I incorporated both Jennifer and Robbie Tower into this instruction. To prove the crime of first-degree murder, the state has to prove the following 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Jennifer and Robbie Tower are dead. There's no question about that. It's uncontested. Their deaths were caused by the criminal acts of Dima Tower. Again, uncontested. Not only do we have all the physical evidence in this case, the knives, the fact that the defendant was covered in blood, the fact that he fled, but we also have his own words. He told the detectives who interviewed him that he killed his parents. So we know that their deaths were caused by Dima Tower, and obviously they were criminal acts because he stabbed them to death. That's a crime. Finally, there was a premeditated killing of Jennifer Tower and Robbie Tower. And how do we know that? We know that because the defendant told us so himself over and over and over. Yesterday afternoon, on the stand, he told you that himself. Repeatedly to the detectives, and then again, right here in the courtroom where you're sitting today. So let's talk a little bit about premeditation and the definition. Now, back on Monday, I was asking you a lot of questions about what factors should you think about when we're talking about premeditation, and you probably thought, what is this woman talking about? Because you didn't have the facts. You didn't know what went on in this particular case. And I was asking you questions about what would a person do before committing a premeditated act if you didn't know what was going on in their mind, but you had to look at their actions and determine what was premeditation. We talked about what would a person do while the crime was being committed that would signal premeditation. And we talked about what would a person do after the crime was committed to signal premeditation. And let's think about what we learned in the last 3 days. What did the defendant do before he committed this crime? He chose his weapon from the knife block in the kitchen, and he took it into the bedroom. He armed himself before the encounter with his parents. All of that leaves plenty of time for reflection, for reflective thought. And we also talked about if there are prior difficulties between the parties.
oh my
Does that
God.
lend
Her
itself
name's Rachel
to thinking
Schwartz
about
too, and
premeditation?
you are
If
underneath.
someone is
Rachel
already
Schwartz.
angry,
Yeah, and you
and as the
say,
defendant
I'll call
said,
you
boiling with
RJ.
rage,
RJ
does
Jr.
that
And
lend
I was
itself
like,
to
oh, that's my
premeditation?
middle
Is
initial,
that one of the
RJ.
factors you should consider?
I'm laughing. I was like, yeah, I got a rope on the back of my neck.
And then what did the defendant do at the time he was committing the crime, when he was stabbing his parents by a conservative estimate 140 times? We talked about, do the nature of the wounds that are being inflicted, do they show that the defendant had a conscious intent to kill? Well, we know the kind of wounds that he inflicted on the tracheas of both parents.
Where's the fucking
And on
other
multiple
side?
stab wounds, especially to the face, the head, the back of the neck, especially
I
the
gotta
throat,
find
the
the other
carotid
side.
arteries, and the jugular veins, the most vulnerable, tender part of any human being. We also talked about, is it important to consider the number of wounds inflicted? And we know that there were, again, over 140 wounds, 79 to Robbie and, 79 to Jennifer and more than 68 to Robbie. What else at the time that the crime is being committed signals that this was premeditated? What about the fact that when he lost the first knife, he went back into the kitchen and got himself another knife so that he could, as he said, finish what he started? Because he started it deliberately and consciously. He wanted to finish that job. And so he armed himself with another weapon. What else did he do during the crime that shows premeditation? After he killed his father, he walked outdoors. And yesterday he told us that he had the knife in his hand when he went outside. And he led his mother back into the death scene and sat her on the couch and, in his own words, delivered a manifesto. He said it was a monologue. And all the time she's sitting there and he is planning to kill her. There is no other way to think about it. What else did we talk about during jury selection? We talked about what might signal premeditation after the crime is committed. We know that the defendant washed the second knife and placed it back in the knife block because it was collected as evidence, and we can actually see the little bit of blood in the close-up photo was also sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and Ms. Webster told you that there was presumptive blood on both weapons. After he took the knife and placed it back in the knife block after he gave it a cursory wash, he fled from the police. You saw 30 long minutes. It's probably boring, but I thought it was important to impress upon you just how long it took for the police to apprehend
Oh,
the
I take that
defendant.
everywhere. I don't wear that.
How long he consciously fled from
No.
the police and
I
showed a
don't know where I
consciousness
got
of
that
guilt
from. I got it from
because he knew
fucking
what he
gave
did
it
was
to me.
wrong. And we know that finally, when he was apprehended, he gave a full admission to consciously deciding to kill. That's premeditation all day long. So let's look at the instructions. Killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind at the time of the killing. The law doesn't fix the exact period of time that must pass between forming the premeditated intent to kill and the actual killing. But the period of time has to be long enough to allow reflection, long enough for the mind to come up with the idea, the plan, the decision, whatever you want to call it, long enough to allow reflection by the defendant. And it has to be formed before the killing actually takes place. The question of premeditation is a question for you. It's a question that you have to
No, I'm gonna
answer
wash all
based
night.
upon what you heard these last 3 days in the courtroom and the evidence that you've seen.
Wash.
And only you can decide if this was a premeditated act. It's sufficient proof of premeditation if the circumstances of the killing and the conduct of the accused during the killing convince you beyond a reasonable doubt of the existence of premeditation at the time of the killing.
Get out of
Let's
there.
talk about why this is not manslaughter and why this is certainly not second-degree murder. Let's start with second-degree murder because that's the first of the lesser included. That comes right after first-degree murder and is then followed by manslaughter. And if you want to follow along with me with the jury instructions, you have them before you. If not, You can just listen to what I have to say. Second-degree murder has to be proven by the state beyond a reasonable doubt, and it has to prove
Get out of the
three
way.
following elements. Jennifer and Robbie Tower are dead. Yes, we know that. The death was caused by the criminal act of Dima Tower, their adopted child. There was an unlawful killing of Jennifer and Robbie Tower by an act imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. Is that what happened? Of course it is. It goes on to say that an act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is imminently dangerous, it goes on to define to another and demonstrating a depraved mind if it is an act or series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another. 2, the act is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or evil intent. And 3, the act or actions are of such a nature that they indicate an indifference to human life. All of those are true. That's exactly what Dima Tower did. But in order to convict of second-degree murder, it is not necessary for the state to prove the defendant had an intent to cause death. That is what's missing from second-degree murder. Dima Tower had every intent to cause the death of both Robbie and Jennifer Tower.
Go get it.
He told you so himself. Why isn't this manslaughter? To prove the crime of manslaughter, the jury instructions tell you, the state has to prove the following 2 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, Jennifer and Robbie Tower are dead. And second, Dima Tower intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death of Jennifer Tower and Robbie Tower. What's missing? Premeditation. The jury instruction goes on to say that in order to convict of manslaughter by act, it is not necessary for the state to prove that the defendant had an intent to cause death. Only an intent to commit an act that was not merely negligent, justified, excusable, or which caused death. But we know from the defendant's own mouth that he had every intention to cause death. He told us so over and over and over again. So the lesser includeds are statutorily mandated to accompany the jury instructions on first-degree murder. But they do not rise, they don't even come close to describing or meeting the elements of what Dima Tower did to his parents on August 31st, 2023, when he sat in that car and thought about killing them, walked into his house, went into his bedroom, came out, grabbed the knife out of the kitchen, and walked into the bedroom and started stabbing his father. Because this is a clear-cut case of first-degree murder. So he talked to detectives on September 1st of 2023, and Detective St. Jean and Detective Chippendale asked him a number of questions. What did you think about last night? I don't like the situation. I don't like the people I'm with. So I'm just gonna kill them. That's what he thought about before he killed his parents. That was his plan. You don't need a diagram, you don't need a journal with your thoughts written down, you don't need a flow chart, you don't need a bullet point list to premeditate the killing of your parents. All it takes is long enough time to reflect, to engage in reflective thought. And that's exactly what he did. I don't like the situation, I don't like the people I'm with, so I'm just gonna kill him. Did you guys talk at all? And here, I think Detective Chippendale is referring to what happened when the defendant brought his mom back in from outside when she was trying to alert the neighbor and try to get some help. So the detectives asked, did you guys talk at all? Yeah, the defendant responded. I tried to talk to her. How did that conversation go? It was a monologue. So did you stab her already at that point? After I finished what I had to say? He's giving a monologue, talking to his mother in the house. Plenty of time for reflective thought. Again, during that interview that you watched, and I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, to watch it again. You'll have an opportunity to take the evidence, most of the evidence back with you, and you can listen to that videotaped and audio tape recording. It's available for you. So last night, you're sitting in your car and you just came up with this, that you're gonna do something now. Defendant said, no, it came before that. Detective says, after work? No, it was before that. I had those thoughts before yesterday. What, days, months? No, like recently. Reflective thought. Later on in the conversation, the detectives ask, was last night the first time you actually thought about killing your parents? No. And yesterday, the last question that I asked, when you were sitting in your car on August 31st, did you decide to kill your parents before you walked into the house? Yes.
What is the location of the emergency? Listen, it's not just emergency anymore right now, but we live at 1200 Northcote Road in Northport. So I'm trying to reach Northport police, and they keep sending me up to this. Okay, so you got a police issue going on? No, I was upstairs in bed, and my daughter was sleeping downstairs, and someone screamed, and banged on our door and rang the doorbell, screaming, I need help, I need help. Took me a second to register what was going on, and we were trying to find, our girl upstairs, and go open the door, and the person's gone. Okay, well, we'll connect you on Northport so they can check the area. I'll connect you. Okay, thank you. 911 was
And this is what law enforcement found when they got to Jonna Walton's house. A blood trail leading up to her home. And at her door, more blood dripping while she rang the doorbell and screamed for help. And as she was out there, the defendant wanted to finish what he started. So he led her back in the house. And then after he finished what he started, he came outside, covered, according to Officer Regakis, with blood. And he just nonchalantly got in his car and drove away, covered with his parents' blood. He led the police on a chase for about a half an hour, even at one point endangering other people in the community by going into the northbound lane. And finally, when Sarasota County disabled his car, stop sticks, he ran into the woods. And we had Officer Regakis get on the stand and show you, trace out for you the flight path of the defendant from way down in the southeastern corner of the Northport city environs, all the way to I-75, south on I-75, and then he backtracked and drove all the way up to almost the very end of what the map shows in the upper left-hand corner, where he abandoned his car and fled into the woods. And
I
this
gotta
is
clean it up, okay?
what
I'm gonna
the
clean
crime
it up,
scene
yes,
and the
I am.
detectives found at 1240 Malakote Road. This is the carnage inside the house. Blood everywhere, on the door, in the foyer, on the furniture, on the walls,
Ooh.
on Dima Tower's parents. And where this crime started, in the bedroom, where Mr. Tower was sound asleep next to his wife when the defendant attacked them while they were sleeping in their bed. And you can see the signs of struggle. Looks like Robbie Tower put up quite a fight as best as he could. You can see that there was a brief altercation over on that north wall, and again, on the wall leading into the living room. Blood everywhere. The defendant was determined to finish what he started. Even when he lost the first knife, he was determined to finish what he started. So he goes into the kitchen and grabs another knife, and then washes up afterwards. And this is the work product of Dima Tower. This is what he did to his father and to his mother because he didn't like them as people. You also heard testimony that the defendant was finally seen early the following morning after he had been at large for about 9 hours. He was captured on video at the Shell station around about 7:30 in the morning. He actually was blasé enough to walk into the Shell station and buy a bottle of tea. And finally, he was arrested shortly thereafter, around about 8 o'clock, when the Venice Police Department apprehended him, still at the Shell station. And this is what the defendant did to his mother. And I have not put up all the autopsy photos. I think you've seen enough autopsy photos and bloodshed, but this is what he did to his mother after he led her back in the house. Stabbed her multiple times in the face, the throat, and the back. And his father, mutilated to the point where Dr. Vega was able to count 6 separate and distinct perforations, incisions, whatever you want to call them, into Robbie Tower's trachea, his larynx. And you heard the testimony of Dr. Vega yesterday, who told you that the cause of death for Jennifer Tower was perforations of multiple small and large blood vessels, including her carotid artery and jugular vein. Same with Robbie Tower, perforations of multiple small and large vessels, including the carotid and subclavian arteries, due to multiple stab wounds. And Dr. Vega told you about the function of the carotid arteries and the jugular veins, how those are the major vessels that take the blood to the head and back down to the body. And that's where the defendant attacked his parents, in the most vulnerable, fragile places in the human body. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to think about the jury instructions and what you heard on Monday about sympathy. You saw the defendant sobbing here in the courtroom. We had to actually take a break. I think it was on Wednesday during the defense's opening statement. And then again yesterday when the defendant took the stand, he put on quite a display of emotion.
Overruled. Let's move on from this, okay?
He put on quite a display of emotion. Hold him accountable for what he did. You may not have sympathy enter into your deliberations. Your job is to look at the evidence and see if the evidence comports with the law of first-degree murder. You may not have any sympathy for Robbie or Jennifer Tower or the defendant. And that's hard to ask human beings. And you may even have sympathy for all 3 of those people, but they cannot influence your decision. That cannot influence your decision. You have to compartmentalize that sympathy if you have any, because the law says that you must judge the defendant on the evidence and the law. Hold him accountable for what he did, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Vince, when you're ready.
like we talked about at the beginning of this case, Mr. Tower's words still hold truth. It has a lot to do with everything that I've been through and everything that I've seen. And you've heard a lot of evidence in this case, and frankly, a lot of it was not disputed. The facts and circumstances of the tragic events of August the 31st of 2023 are not materially in dispute. Robbie Tower is deceased. Jennifer Tower is deceased. Those things occurred because of acts by Dima Tower. That is not in dispute. What is in dispute is whether or not Dima Tower had the rational, conscious intent to commit the homicides prior to them occurring. That is what is in dispute in this case, and that is what we have been asking you to focus on and not get sidetracked into different areas. The judge has instructed you that you have to presume Mr. Tower to be innocent before you start. We kind of dialed that back a little bit and said, look, before we even start this trial, I want to make sure that we're clear about what we're asking of you. And what we're asking of you is to make a decision about one simple thing. And it may not seem that simple, and it may seem very complicated to get inside the head of somebody else. And it is. It's complicated. The state has the burden of proving these crimes beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. I know the state will say that most of what we've been talking about is trying to invoke sympathy for Mr. Tower. That is not the case. It is important if you're making a decision about somebody's state of mind that
I don't know.
you are exposed
No,
to them
it's
so that you
okay.
can make an informed decision.
I wake up dizzy or something. Dizzy, like I'm drunk.
There's a lot of talk in the jury instructions about people of ordinary judgment making decisions. And what the judge has instructed you is that it's up to you to decide what evidence is reliable. You should use your common sense in deciding what is the best
Okay.
evidence
Oh my
and which evidence
God.
should be
That's
relied
your
on in
name?
considering your verdict.
Oh my
We
God, I
talked
love
during
that.
jury selection
Her name is
about
Rachel
the fact that
Schwartz.
you
Her
don't
name's
leave your personal life
It's her middle
experiences
name
at the
with a
door.
J.
You bring those in because they form your common sense.
RJ.
And you can make the determination
Call me RJ.
as to whether or not it's significant that Mr. Tower couldn't look me in the eye, couldn't look the state attorney in the eye,
Yep.
couldn't look the detectives in the eye at any point in time. That is
You're not
something
even gonna
that
believe it.
is
You're making
common
this shit up.
for certain people. And when we're talking about
No,
individualized
really, are you making this up?
consciousness of
I
guilt
speak to
Every
her. I love
individual
you. I've been speaking to her for years.
reflects
I'd
differently.
be like, you're crazy.
Every
man.
individual thinks
Uh-huh.
differently. So if we're
Talk to
talking
your-
about
her
the
and her boyfriend,
fixed
well, he
time
died,
for
her
reflective
boyfriend died.
thought,
So
it's important to consider all of
you
the
cancer all of
factors
a sudden. You know,
as to
cancer
whether or
and it
not
was like
Mr.
over.
Tower
Oh my God.
had
The
sufficient
cancer to be
time
over.
for him to make reflective thought. Given
But you know,
his history, whether or
she said
not
she's moving.
the killing was done after consciously
This isn't living
deciding
for me.
to
I'm
do
just
it.
existing. I'm fucking living. This isn't living for me.
I would submit
I could go out and see fucking things.
that Mr. Tower
Okay.
doesn't have the ability
I don't know about my vehicle. I have much money on my vehicle.
And maybe approach,
No, I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay.
Sustain the objection.
thank you.
I'll disregard the last statement by defense counsel.
The question of premeditation is a question of fact to be determined by you from the evidence. And the judge instructs you again, use your common sense. Think about what evidence is reliable and what evidence isn't reliable.
Yeah, could get some money for it.
As Mr.
I
Tower
really like
indicated,
bottles.
when there was discussions with law enforcement, he was concerned that there were misstatements, misunderstandings, which would be something you would understand from somebody who was in foster care in a foreign country, who didn't know the language before he got here, who learned the
Yeah, a
language
month or
himself
so, save up some money for a new car, which I did.
by small
First of all,
talk,
get a job because I wasn't working.
who was obviously awkward and uncomfortable, you can make a determination as far as all of those things, as to what weight you put on each piece of evidence and what weight you assign. Because like we talked about from the beginning, each of you individually has a verdict. And collectively, as a jury, you make a decision. But it is important for each and every one of you to have your voices heard. It's important that you take time to deliberate and make a determination as far as what culpability Mr. Tower has. I would suggest to you that the evidence presented leads to a manslaughter conviction. And we would ask that you come back with that verdict. Thank you.
State rebuttal when you're ready.
Defense counsel argued that defendant told you yesterday, and he did, that this has a lot to do with everything I've been through and everything I've seen. You've heard no evidence, zero evidence of the defendant and what he saw and what he's been through. You are not.
Burden shifting?
I'll overrule the objection. I'll just remind everybody, there's no obligation or burden on the defense to do anything. You may continue.
The defense has no burden. But when you hear arguments that defy logic, you can reject the arguments by the defense. The defendant doesn't have to prove anything in this case, but he did. He proved everything in this case when he took that stand yesterday, and he said, I was sitting in the car thinking about it before I went into the house. I thought about killing my parents before I went into the house. So again, does the defense have to prove anything? No. Is it my burden? Yes. And I urge you to hold the state to its burden. But you have heard no evidence, absolutely no evidence about what the defendant has seen and what the defendant has been through. And that is not burden shifting. That is simply a fact. The defendant described this as rage, but not rage that developed suddenly from a sudden event, some altercation with his parents, something that would make an ordinary, reasonable person lose self-control. This wasn't something sudden that happened that made Dima Tower lose his normal self-control and go in there and stab his parents. As I said earlier, his parents were fast asleep in their bed. They posed absolutely no danger to him. They did nothing to upset him or provoke his rage that night. I don't know where his rage was fostered, and neither do you. But he had rage for his parents when he was sitting out in that car, and he acted on that rage. This was not manslaughter. This was not a crime of passion. He sat out in his car and thought about it. And again, you're going to hear instructions about speculation. They're in your jury instructions. On Monday night, you took an oath to well and truly try this case based on the law and based on the facts, not on speculation. In fact, the jury instructions forbid you to speculate about the defendant's past or what he's seen or what he went through when his mother died. That's pure speculation, and you may not do that. Do not let yourself be persuaded because the defendant tried to and was prevented, correctly so, from talking about his past, because that is not why we're here. We're here because the defendant killed his parents. The law doesn't change for people to fit their situations. Whether you're an executive of Coca-Cola or whether you're a kid from a bad neighborhood, whether you graduated from Northport High School or you graduated from Harvard, The law is the same for every single person. And what he went through when he was a kid has nothing to do with this crime that he committed. Don't be persuaded that because the defendant had a horrible childhood and he ended up in an orphanage, that he's somehow justified in doing what he did. Those photographs say everything. There is no justification for that. I'm asking you to think about the facts and think about the law, and only that, because there is no room for sympathy or speculation in your job. I'm asking you to hold the defendant accountable for what he did. I'm asking you to find him guilty of killing Robbie Tower and Jennifer Tower after premeditation. I'm asking you to hold him guilty of first-degree murder on both counts, and also for fleeing to elude law enforcement officer with lights and siren. I thank you for your patience and your attention.
And that concludes the closing arguments. Folks, as you might know, I think we talked about this at jury selection. We chose to have two alternates because we were going for the whole week. If someone got sick, we would have had them fill in. You folks remember your numbers from day one? Remember you had a paddle in your hand? I'm going to try to see if we can identify our alternates by number. They were number 45, initials SN, is that right? Okay. And juror number 50. Where are you? Do you folks have any personal belongings back in the jury room? Yes? While I'm going over this last instruction, why don't you go with Carl, the bailiff, and gather your personal belongings. When you're done, Carl, give me about maybe a minute or two. We'll bring you back in. You can just come over to the side. You've spent a whole week with these folks. You can say bye to them as they're walking out in transition. I'm going to speak to you just for a bit before I send you folks home, okay, the alternates, okay? Everybody can remain seated while the alternates head out with Carl. For the rest of you, you all comprise our jury, so you can turn to that last jury instruction in your packet. I'm going to read that to you. In just a moment, you will be taken to the jury room by the bailiff. The first thing you should do is choose a foreperson who will preside over your deliberations. The foreperson should see to it that your discussions are carried on in an organized way and that everyone has a fair chance to be heard. It is also the foreperson's job to sign and date the verdict form when all of you have agreed on a verdict and to bring the verdict form back to the courtroom when you return. During deliberations, jurors must communicate about the case only with one another and only when all jurors are present in the jury room. If a juror goes to the
Jesus,
restroom,
come
deliberations
on.
should stop until that juror returns. You are not to communicate with any person outside the jury about the case. Until you have reached a verdict, you must not talk about this case in person or through the telephone, writing, or electronic communication, such as a blog, Twitter, email, text message, or any other means. Do not contact anyone to assist you during the deliberations. These communications rules apply until I discharge you at the end of the case. If you become aware of any violation of these instructions or any other instruction I have given in the case, you must tell me by giving a note to the bailiff. Many of you may have cell phones, tablets, or laptops, or other electronic devices in the jury room. The rules do not allow you to keep those or bring those into the jury room. Let's see, the rules do not allow you to bring your phones or any of those types of electronic devices into the jury room. Kindly leave those devices with the bailiff. These devices will be safeguarded by the bailiff while you deliberate. I think what Carl will do is he'll put a cart outside your jury room. If you can just want to make a call to a loved one, let them know you're well. Turn your phone to silent or off. That includes Apple Watches, electronic watches, iPads, any electronics. You can turn those to off or silent. Just put them on the cart outside the jury room, okay? If you need to communicate with me for any reason, send a note through the bailiff. If you have voted, do not disclose the vote in the note. If you have a question, I will talk with the attorneys here in court before I answer, so it may take some time. You may continue your deliberations while you wait for my answer. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. During the trial, items were received into evidence as exhibits. You may examine whatever exhibits you think will help you in your deliberations. A, some of these exhibits will be sent into the jury room with you when you begin to deliberate. And B, if you wish to see any of these other exhibits, please request that in writing. Both apply in this case, but we decided is we're not going to send any of the knives back to you in the jury room. There was a butcher block, you may recall, with some knives and then 2 other knives. You're entitled to see those if you wish. So that would be a note by a 4-person sign saying we'd like to see the knives, for example. What we do in that case, I talk about it with the attorneys. We could either have a bailiff just bring them into the jury room, give it, have
Oh my
you have
God, oh
access
my
to those
God.
for a few minutes and then collect them, or we can bring you back into the courtroom and have a bailiff walk in front of you with those as well. Okay, but other than the knives, all other evidence will go back. No outward signs of emotion or comments. We need to be professional, respect the jury. So if you can't handle it, then I need you to remove yourself kindly, okay? All right, let's bring the jurors in.
That admonition there, Kelly, from the judge, it really is specifically for Dima Tower. He's had a very difficult time holding in his emotion from out the gate and opening statement. The verdict.
Yeah, it's just emotional to watch, and clearly when he was on the stand and when defense counsel was talking about his background and opening statements, well, they're standing up now. Let's go in and hear what they have to say.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Everybody may be seated. Members of the jury, I'm told that you reached a verdict. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can the 4-person hand it to the bailiff? I take a look at it next to make sure that it's executed, signed, and dated, etc. And then I'll hand it to the clerk. Can you please hand this to the clerk? And the clerk is going to publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 12th Judicial Circuit in and for Sarasota County, Florida, State of Florida versus Dima Tower, case number 2023 CF 8812 NC. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1, victim Jennifer Tower. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2, victim Robbie Tower. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3, the defendant is guilty of fleeing to elude a law enforcement officer as charged. So say we all this 14th day of November 2025, signed 4%.
Members of the jury, there's something we do after every verdict. It's called polling the jury. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the back. I'll go left to right, then I'll come forward and go left to right, okay? So to the gentleman in the back left, is this your verdict and the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
To the gentleman next door, is this your verdict and the verdict of the jury as the whole?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict and the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict and the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Young lady on the far right, is this your verdict and the verdict of the jury as a whole? To the gentleman in front, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Next gentleman, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
And ma'am, is this your verdict? Folks, on behalf of everybody, I want to thank you for your service. We have different types of trials. This was a longer trial, although as I mentioned, not terribly long. We do have those that are longer. We asked a lot of you. You came in Monday on a week with a holiday. You were here all week, early in the morning. right, we have everybody back in the courtroom. Thank you for your patience, folks. All right, did the attorneys have a chance to come up and look at the verdict form?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on sentencing?
Your Honor, as all the interested parties are currently present and the court does not have discretion based on the jury's verdict as far as what the sentence can be, we would prefer to go forward today.
Okay, State, are you prepared to go forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you prepared to go forward now through the lunch hour?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay.
The state does have some family members that would like to speak to you briefly.
Sure. Are you ready? Do you know how you're going to proceed and what order? Okay.
Whenever you are, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, thank you. I'm going to first call Phil.
Let me
Tower.
stop you for one moment, Ms. Sprabley.
Yes.
I did, folks, have Zoom open for the entirety of the trial. I was always letting folks in. I'll note that they were good in the sense that they would come in before 9. I didn't have to let them in throughout the day because they were all on time. So there are folks that are also on Zoom. I don't know if these are folks that want to be heard as well. Can I, Deputy, Carl, can you turn this TV around? Because yours are gone, so I don't mind turning that around now so that the state and the defense can see who's on Zoom. Oh, they might have unplugged it? Okay. Let me have the state and the defense come up. So you can take a look at the names that are on here.
Oh, Ms. Torres, may I get her back into the courtroom?
Sure.
Ms. Torres? Yes. Please, wait a moment.
Yes? Let's leave it where it is. Yeah, thanks. All right, why don't you come take a look and write down the names, and then you could find out if these are folks that want to be heard. I mean, just to go through it, it says Warren Rhines on this one, and it looks like 2 people are there. Do you know who that is? All right, are they going to want to be heard?
What's her name?
Okay, there's someone with the name Sean Tower. Is that someone that wants to be heard? Why don't I find out these folks are, and let's, okay. All right, if I can have Warren Rhines, please unmute. All right, you're unmuted. Can you please tell me who you folks are?
And I am the uncle of Robbie Tower.
And I am Darlene Rhines, the aunt of Robbie Tower.
All right, so we have aunt and uncle. Do you wish to be heard today, this afternoon at the sentencing hearing?
I do not.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have an aunt and an uncle that have been here on Zoom but do not wish to be heard. All right, can Sean Tower please unmute and turn your video on?
Sorry, Your Honor, I don't have a camera hooked up. No, I'm Robbie Tower's brother. I don't wish to be heard.
Okay. All right, how about, there's someone with the name Gladys that's on the Zoom.
Hi, I am a friend of the family and I do not wish to be heard.
You were in the courtroom this week, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, friend of the family does not wish to be heard. So we have no one on Zoom that wishes to speak. I have no preference on order. Why don't we, any objection to the state proceeding first, Mr. Gilman?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, state, please call your first witness up or person up to the, why don't we use the witness box? Okay.
Yes. State calls Phil Tower.
You have you standing here, you're going to face the clerk, no, this clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Over here, sir. That's okay.
Behind you?
Yeah. Right away.
Give this to Mr. Talent. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Tower. Can you please tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Philip Tower, Tower.
Okay. Would you like to address the court?
The court,
And,
no particularly.
right. You're
Whatever
not,
it is that you
yeah,
want to say, sir.
Oh, I just want to talk to Dima.
Hold on.
No.
Whatever it is that you wish to say, direct it at me.
Oh, okay.
You can tell me what you want to say and what you want me to know. This is a sentencing where you can give the court input, okay?
Okay,
Of course, Mr. Tower, the defendant, is the courtroom and will hear what you have to say, okay?
right. I just wanted the court to know that Dima didn't just
Take your time.
He didn't just kill Robbie and Jennifer. He killed a part of all of us. And there isn't a person over there that doesn't hate him. And we want him to suffer. And I just like one more thing to say. I have a lot of things to say, but you probably wouldn't like it. I want him to, when he's Dima, look at me.
No, sorry, go ahead and direct your comments to me, okay?
I would like him to change his name while he's in jail. I don't want him to use my name anymore. I don't want him to be associated with us. And a lot of things I want to say to you, to him.
Take your
I don't
time.
believe you'd allow it, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't think I could go any further.
I don't know, Ms. Fadlick, if you wanted to ask him any questions?
No, Mr. Tower, this is really a chance to talk about your loss and what Jennifer and Robbie meant to you and the loss in your life. So I think that's better than right now retribution, because the judge will take care of that.
I can't put into words.
Why don't you tell me this, how is Jennifer or Robbie related to you?
Robbie's my son.
Your son? Tell me about your son and your daughter-in-law.
Well, they were just great people. They were honest. They were religious, cared about everybody. They would give you the shirt off their back, help you. They were big in the church. They went on pilgrimages, you know what I'm saying? They went to different pilgrimages, whatever. They went, and that's how they met Dima. They just wanted to help somebody. They couldn't have children of their own. They saw Dima, they figured they'd give him a chance at life. And that's how we repaid them. There isn't anybody that didn't like them. And it's just a total waste of good people. I don't know what else I can say to build them up any more than that. I don't have to. We'll miss it.
Thank you, Mr. Tower.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tower.
Take your time.
Thank you.
The state would like to call Michael Burgoon. Did you need this? Okay, thank you.
Stand here, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth and whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do. Okay, so on this one. You can look at it after me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Michael Burgoon, Burgoon.
And how do you know Robbie and Jennifer Tower?
Jennifer Tower is my sister, and of course, Robbie was my brother-in-law.
Okay, and is Jennifer younger or older than you?
Couple years older.
Couple of years older, so
ma'am.
she was your big sister?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you like to talk to Judge Krug about how your life has been affected by the loss of your sister and brother-in-law?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'd like to thank the court for allowing me to speak today. My name is Michael Burgoon. Jennifer Tower is my sister, and Rob Tower is my brother-in-law. For just over 2 years, I've had to try to process daily that my sister Jennifer and Rob are no longer here. Jennifer was much more than my sister. She was my #1 supporter and best friend. Growing up together, we would play video games, hang out on Venice Beach and Siesta Key, and often race go-karts at Pelican Pete's in Inglewood, or just simply hang out. As we grew older and moved on in life and got married daily, one of us would call the other or send a text just to say, "I love you." There wasn't anything I went through in life that I didn't reach out to her for her thoughts or her advice or how she thought I should handle it or what she may do if she was in my shoes. Even through my 20s to just over 2.5 years ago, I'd call her because I knew she would always answer the phone. And even if I didn't like what she would say, she would answer with honest and loving. I would also reach out to Rob daily. Rob was the very definition of what a brother-in-law is. We shared the same sense of humor. Jennifer would often get on us for acting like teenage boys. I would often call Rob just to get some advice from a guy's point of view, or if he had a question about the Bible. Rod had a very vast knowledge of it and would talk to me, or if I was struggling with something, he would often tell me a verse in the Bible that dealt with what I was going through and would help. Rob was the person who officiated my second wedding. There has been no greater hurt or pain in life than losing them. There isn't a second of the day that goes by that I don't think about them. Nobody should have to go through the hurt, emotional burden, grief, and just loss of direction in life that losing them has caused. They were the true north in the compass of my life. They were full of so much love, not only with me and their family. Jennifer loved our two older sisters, Lori and Lisa, and her mother, Cindy, and her son. Rob always spoke about the love for his parents and family and the love he had for his son. Our lives were much better because they were in ours. Sadly now, because of the events of October 31st, 2023, they were selfishly taken from our families. That void can never be filled, and for me personally, going through 2 counseling professionals still has not helped me out. Daily, I feel a pain and hurt that can't be described. I want to believe that they're just busy, and any second, my phone will ring and I'll hear that, "Hey, Michael, what's up, brother?" that Jennifer would so lovingly say, knowing full well that night, hearing that will never happen again. It's an emotional trauma that for the rest of my life, I'll have to work through and try to process with the help of counseling and family because it's not something that will go away. I hope and pray that today brings some closures for our families. Grief is a journey with a time limit. And Jennifer and Rob, I love you and will live daily to honor your memory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The state calls Rich Pollock.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pollock.
Good afternoon.
Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Richard Pollock, Pollock.
Will you tell Judge Krug how Robbie and Jennifer were part of your life?
Yes. I wrote a brief statement. At the beginning of this trial, we were told and we heard that the defendant say that this was all an act of rage. By saying so, he may feel that this helps to alleviate his responsibility in some way, but it doesn't. What he calls rage is nothing more than a pitiful attempt at an excuse to try to explain away the atrocities that he committed. This wasn't rage. This is all the result of a series of calculated decisions that he made that night. Robbie and Jennifer Tower, or as we affectionately called them, Rob and Jen Powerski, or Robbie and Miss Jen to our girls, had a huge impact, not only on mine and my family's lives, but countless people here and around the world that they ministered to and shared the love and teachings of Christ with. Rob and Jen were show-up people. The people that showed up to help and weren't afraid to get dirty or put in the work to help a friend or anyone really. They were people who loved fully, and we loved them for it. It was Rob and Jen who showed up to teach my daughter Gigi to ride a bike when I couldn't. It was Rob who showed up to put my Christmas lights up after I fell off the roof and Jen volunteered to do. The list goes on. They had a light in them that burned brightly for Christ, for each other, and for people. They were truly the people who would give you the shirt off their backs if you needed it and expected nothing in return, and not just their shirts. I remember them once giving one of their cars to a family that needed it. That's who they were. They offered the same gift to Dima, a gift of agape love. They gave, and he took and took. He was unwilling to receive it unless it was on his terms. He says he holds in such high esteem the way of life in Ukraine and that the man should rule over his family with some sort of an iron fist and that his wife must be subservient to him. But I would like to remind him in the court that the same way of life relegated him ending up in an orphanage where no one cared. As he put it, a nobody from nowhere. Rob and Jennifer chose to put Christ first and to love him above each other, but then to love each other above all and second only to that. They treated each other equally after only God and each other. They chose to love Dima and to bring him into their lives. They wanted to make him a somebody and gave him their name. I remember they were so excited I remember how proud Rob was when Dima first became an American citizen. So many things that he did that he was so proud to be able to share that his son accomplished. But Dima didn't see it that way. If it wasn't his way and exactly the way he wanted or perceived it to be, he didn't want it or it was wrong. This wasn't just an issue that he had with Rob and Jen. He had problems with authority at school and rules. He couldn't handle it if another kid had got attention and took out his anger on those younger and smaller than he was. He's a coward. He showed it when he beat up on little kids, and he showed it the night that he made the choice to brutally murder Rob and Jen while they were asleep because he was too afraid to face them awake. He made a series of choices that night that changed the world for so many of us. There were multiple times that he could have stopped, but he made the choice to continue this brutality. He said he decided to kill them when he was sitting out in his car for no real reason. Even in his video statements, he said that they never hurt him. He simply didn't like them or had hatred in his heart. He could have made the choice to drive away that night, but he didn't. He went inside. He stated that he went in his room and drank and thought about it some more. He could have stopped then, but he didn't. He walked into the kitchen and picked up a knife. He still could have stopped, but he didn't. He continued into their bedroom. He stated they were asleep and it was dark. Again, he could have stopped and left, but he didn't. Instead, he brutally began stabbing my precious friend. The man who gave up everything for him, and the man that was like the older brother that I never had. In this struggle, he also stabbed Jennifer. These two people who loved each other so much, and him as well. Sometime during this attack, he lost the knife, and Jennifer was able to get out and try to get help. He could have stopped then, but he chose not to. Instead, he went in the kitchen and retrieved another knife to, in his words, finish what he started. He then made sure he had taken all the life out of poor Rob. Again, he could have stopped, but he chose to go out and find Jennifer. He then forced her back in the house where he forced her to listen to his rantings. Again, he could have stopped, but instead he chose brutality, again in his own words, to finish what he started. Now he truly gets to finish what he started. When he killed our precious friends and robbed this world of the love and light that they shared. For the rest of his life, he will be a nobody whose name means nothing. Instead, he will be assigned a number due to his own actions and be forced to suffer this alone, more than likely without any visitors. He killed the only two people in this world who would have been there for him. He has to live with that for the rest of his life. And I pray that one day he will accept that responsibility for his actions and repent and accept Christ into his heart. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. Careful stepping down. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. The state calls Talitha Pollock.
Stand right here, if you want to face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, you can- Just go right there, come right.
Good afternoon, Ms. Pollock. Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Talitha Pollock, Pollock.
Would you like to talk to Judge Krug?
Yes, please. I tried to write something too. Probably not as good at it as my husband.
Take your time. There's no rush.
When we first met Jen and Rob, we became fast friends. We met them serving at church, and the next thing you know, we were doing everything together. Our now grown daughters were young at the time and absolutely adored them. If you're a parent, you know that it's really important who you leave your kids with. And my husband and I take that very seriously. We don't let them do sleepovers or things like that at anybody's house. But we trusted the Towers, which is like putting them like at such a high level, you know, to trust them to keep our kids. So when my husband and I would go on mission trips to South America, we would leave our girls with them and they had a blast. They loved going to Robbie and Miss Jen's house. We, without hesitation, trusted them. They were amazing. And they were also amazing with any other kids they ever came in contact with. They served in church with like the kids ministry, They would really serve anywhere anybody asked them to because they never said no, and the kids loved them. Losing Jen and Rob has been a huge loss, not just for the families and the friends, but for countless individuals and also our community. They always had the best smiles, and they never said no to helping anyone in need, but they also never wanted any recognition. They did it because they just wanted to. I only know because I saw them in action countless times when they thought nobody was looking. We'd be doing a food drive at church. They didn't just bring in a handful of cans or something from their pantry. They'd go grocery shopping at Publix and bring in multiple bags. If they found out someone had a need, whether they knew them or not, that they could meet, they would jump right in and do it. When we first met them, they were young professionals and could go on luxury vacations if they wanted to, but instead they spent both their vacation time and all their resources on mission trips to Russia and the Ukraine. They had a love for the Ukrainian people. And so I was not completely surprised when Jen told me about Dima. She beamed. I can promise you that she could not have loved you more, Dima, than if she gave birth to you herself. She loved him so much. I have children that I have given birth to, and I have children that I've adopted. You love them the same, and Jen loved him just like she gave birth to him. She loved him unconditionally. You were a nobody from nowhere, but two amazing people from somewhere came to save you. What you did by repaying them, by cowardly killing them because you don't like rules, authority, or you can't handle consequences. You decided our country is a crap hole, in your own words, and you wanted to go back to the Ukraine. I think of all the kids in orphanages that would be grateful to be brought here and given the life that you were, but not you. You were only grateful when you were getting what you wanted. I think it's ironic now that hopefully he can spend the rest of his measly existence in a prison in the land that he hates so much. The truth is that he was used to picking on and beating up anyone smaller than him. He couldn't do that with Rob. Rob was bigger, but he wasn't violent at all. Rob could maybe hold him back. So he waited till they were asleep. And like a thief in the night, you snuck in and you started your evil rampage. My daughters miss Jen and Robbie so much. I miss Jen. I miss Rob too, but I miss Jen more than words. She had the most beautiful smile, the kindest heart, a great laugh. And one thing no purely evil thief in the night could steal are all the memories that they gave us. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Pond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The state calls Lisa Huff.
Please almost swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Ms. Huff, before you start speaking to the judge, would you just identify yourself for the record? Tell us your full name and last name and spell your last name.
My name is Lisa Huff. My last name is Huff.
Thank you. And will you tell us how you know Jennifer and Robbie Tower, please?
Jennifer is my youngest sister. Robbie is my brother-in-law.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Take me a minute. Okay. I had to type mine out just today, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I can't begin to express the depth of loss and pain that this tragedy has brought to our family and all who knew and loved Rob and Jennifer. They were two of the most wonderful people you could ever meet. My sister Jennifer was the most loving, caring, and compassionate person. Even when she was struggling, she had a wonderful sense of humor and a strong faith and belief in God. I was blessed to have her as my youngest sister and thankful for all the good memories we shared together. Rob was also an awesome person and was always willing to lend a helping hand. He was also a fun-loving guy and had a great sense of humor. Rob and Jennifer did all they could to help Dima have a better life. No, they were not perfect, but no one is. There was absolutely nothing they did to deserve being brutally murdered and so carelessly and senselessly ripped out of the lives of my family and everyone else who knew and loved Rob and Jennifer. I will never understand or comprehend what drove Dima to commit such a heinous act against two of the people who gave him or gave so much of themselves and did all within their power to give him a better life. I guess evil simply cannot be understood. As a Christian, I know that the Bible commands me to forgive Dima. That is something I will have to fully rely on God's help and strength to do. I can't do it on my own. Dima has shown no remorse for his actions, and it has been said that he may not have the capacity to do so. Though some may not understand, I pray that Dima will one day feel the weight and guilt of what he has done and ask for God's forgiveness. By saying this, by no means am I stating that Dima should not be held accountable and pay for his actions. He definitely should be. His horrible actions against Rob and Jennifer demand justice. However, as Rob and Jennifer were also Christians, I believe that this is what they would want for Dima, even though he did what he did to them. Though some may not agree with me or understand, as a Christian, I believe that even in horrific tragedies such as these, that God would want something good to come out of them. It is my firm belief that Rob and Jennifer would want Dima to ask for forgiveness and join them in heaven one day. Although it seems impossible in our eyes as human beings, I pray and have faith that this can happen. Although I am still angry and sad for what has happened, it is my belief that God died for all sins, including the ones committed by Dima on that terrible day in August of 2023. Dima is my nephew, and though mine and my family's lives will never be the same, part of me still cares for him. I pray he will make the right decision and ask God for forgiveness for what he has done. Once again, I believe this is what Rob and Jennifer would have wanted for Dima. Thank you again for giving me the chance to speak, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'm going to read a statement from Jennifer's other sister, Lori Ely, who's here present in the courtroom. And then we have one final statement from Debbie Tower. So this is a statement from Ms. Ely, and it reads as follows. Her name is Lori, last name Ely. Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my sister, Jennifer, her husband, Rob, and our grieving family. No words can fully capture the depth of loss and devastation that this crime has caused us. Jen and Rob were two of the most generous, hopeful, and loving people I have ever known. Their greatest dream was to build a family. After years of struggling to have children, they made the selfless decision to adopt. Their Christian missionary work in Ukraine inspired them to open their hearts to a child in need, and they welcomed their son Dima into their home with love. Adoption was not easy. It was emotionally, financially, and spiritually very demanding. They emptied their savings, they took loans, and they relied on the kindness of others to make their dream of parenthood possible. Despite every challenge, they remained deeply committed to giving Dima a stable, nurturing home and every opportunity to thrive. I have never seen my sister as happy as she was when Dima arrived. She was radiant, excited, fulfilled, and hopeful about motherhood. Rob shared her joy, and together they dedicated themselves to building a loving family. They celebrated milestones, faced setbacks, and consistently placed Dima's welfare and well-being above their own. Their commitment to him never wavered. Their journey, however, was extraordinarily difficult. They worked tirelessly to support Dima through anger, defiance, and destructive behavior. They sought help for him, guidance, and healing. They endured emotional and physical harm while trying to help him overcome his struggles. Even in the face of rejection and escalating violence by Dima, they continued to try because they were driven by love, faith, and the belief that every child deserves a chance. Despite their extraordinary efforts, Jen and Rob's lives were taken from them in a violent, senseless manner. The pain of losing them is indescribable. Their deaths shattered our family and left a void that can never be filled. My sister's warmth, kindness, and optimism are gone. Rob's humor, steadiness, and generosity are now only memories. We never had the chance to say goodbye. What I wouldn't give for one more conversation, one more holiday together, or just one more hug. Every day I'm confronted by reminders of what was stolen from us. I lost two of my closest friends. My faith in the goodness of people has been shaken. I now live with symptoms of PTSD. I return to work while simultaneously navigating the unimaginable task of settling my sister's estate, repeatedly explaining their deaths to banks, to creditors, mailing their death certificates, and reliving the trauma each time I read their names on those documents. I had to walk through their home and sort through the pieces of their lives. I found my sister's wedding dress. I found hundreds of photos of their lives together and two people deeply in love. Those moments broke me. The grief is relentless. I will never be the same person I was before, and no therapy or counseling will ever fully mend what has been taken. Jen and Rob's deaths touched more than just our family. Their community lost two people defined by selflessness and generosity. They opened their home and their hearts not only to Dima, but to many others. As Christians, they lived their faith through quiet acts of love and compassion. Their reward for this kind of selflessness was a brutal death at the hands of the child they devoted their lives to. I can't escape the tormenting thoughts of their final moments. How frightened and betrayed they must have felt. Our family is left to carry the weight of this tragedy every day, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Holidays, family gatherings, and even small joys are marked by their absence. Your Honor, as you consider sentencing, I ask that you remember who Jennifer and Rob were. Decent, selfless people who dedicated themselves to giving a vulnerable child a better life. They believed in second chances and in the power of love. Their lives were taken in a horrific way, and the hole left in our hearts will never be filled. Since their deaths, I have tried to understand how Dima could have committed such a crime. I am not an expert, but I have learned about psychopathy and antisocial personality disorder. I do not know whether he was born this way or shaped by trauma. In many ways, the situation is a tragedy for everyone, including him. I believe my sister would have forgiven him. But forgiveness does not erase danger. From what I have come to understand about psychopathy, it cannot be cured. If Dima were ever released, I firmly believe that he is a risk to society and that he would harm or kill again. While compassion and faith may allow us to pity his past, society also has a responsibility to protect others from someone like him who demonstrates violence, lacks empathy, and cannot regulate dangerous impulses. For the safety of the public and in honor of Jennifer and Rob, I ask that you impose a sentence that ensures no other family will face the pain we endure every day. Thank you, Your Honor.
Where is Laura? And well said.
Finally, the state would call Debbie Tower, please.
Here, for support, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, Mr.
Hello, Ms. Tower. Can you tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Debbie Tower. Tower.
Would you like some water?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Robbie was my son. And Jennifer was my daughter-in-law. And I can't. What he took away from us is beyond what you can imagine, because Robbie was my friend, my son. He thought he was the father of my other two kids. He helped raise them. And then when my daughter died, we were left with two little boys, and he helped raise them. He acted like their father, and he did everything with them, and he took them places, and he took care of them. And he could not have ever been a better father than he was to my boys, his nieces, his nephews, and him. He spoiled him. He did everything that he could in Jennifer. And the two of them did everything to make him happy. And every time something would happen, they would fix it. And I just want people to know that he wasn't neither one of them were a bad parent. They were excellent. They couldn't do enough to take care of our children. Now my boys want to know, where's Robbie? And I can't explain it to them because they don't understand heaven. And I'm sorry, this is so hard. I just wanted people to know that they both were good. They were good to him. He can't say things that aren't true. And he really was good to everybody, and I miss him so much. I'm so sorry. I just want people to know how good they were. I brought them with me so they could see what we're doing for them. He destroyed so many people. I just don't know how he can live with himself. And you're gonna have to think about this for the rest of your life, what you did. You didn't just murder Robbie and Jen, you murdered all of us. That's all I can say. I can't say any more.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tower. Be careful getting down.
There are no further statements, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Can we put up, do we have a second podium here? You don't need to plug it in, but can you bring one in? Mr. Gilman, do you have anybody that wishes to speak from the defense?
The defendant would like to address the matter.
Okay. Does he want to take the witness stand and speak?
I don't mind.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry?
I don't mind taking the witness stand.
Okay. Let me just make sure you understand. I'm not going to allow any disparaging comments related to Robbie and Jennifer Tower. Do you understand that?
What do you mean?
I don't want a single negative comment or disparaging, meaningful, harmful contact.
There will be no such words.
Okay.
There'll be only the story.
Mr. Gilman, have you spoken to him at all about what he wishes to say?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Can you please explain to him what I just ordered? I will not permit Robbie and Jennifer to be disparaged in any way in this courtroom.
I understood what he said. I will only tell our story. I will be rational. I will be making sense. I'm not gonna be speaking meaningless words that have no reason to say.
This is an opportunity for you to show remorse, if you have any, to apologize if you wish to and it's sincere, and to express your gratitude for the opportunity that Robbie and Jennifer gave you if you wish, to apologize to the family and the community for which you tore apart and destroyed. This is that opportunity. Do you understand that, Mr. Tower?
I understand.
And the opportunity is limited to that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay. All right, let's have the defendant take the witness stand, please. You want to assist?
I'll do anything. Can you please just state your name for the court?
Dima Tower.
And given what the court has talked to you about, what is it that you want Judge Crew to know prior to imposing a sentence?
What I have to say is our feelings block out our intellect. So I must ignore the irrational testimonies I heard about the life that I had with adopted parents of mine, and prior to that, I must only speak the truth. However, I've been told that I have limited time, and there's much to say that I expect these adults to understand me talking to them as adults to adults. I had 2 years and 2 months of dwelling on this. The conclusion I have come to is not only that everything evolves around God, that we must understand that we live in an unmanly world. And what this means is,
Mr. Tower, I'm not concerned about what world you believe in. Do you wish to offer an apology and remorse to the victims?
yes, I'm getting to that, yes.
Right, cut right to it. I don't want to hear what world you think you live in.
Well, I'm gonna cut right to it.
Thank
The remorse that I have for my adopted parents is, it might be unshown. That doesn't mean it's not felt. Because when I committed these acts of crime, I lost my mind, and it might somebody might think that I knew what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing. It was,
Now, do you wish to offer an apology?
I am on offer an apology. I'm explaining an apology. I'm explaining an apology. I'm in the middle of apology. Apology is that the truth is that there are a lot of fatherless children out there. And my apology in this is that nobody want to be held accountable for their actions. And I'm being held accountable for the actions of grown men. So my apology is that I have to be responsible for what Oscar did to his children and what Phil did to his children. And how can I apologize for the mistreatment that Oscar, as a stepfather.
All right, I'm going to have the defendant removed from the stand. He's choosing not to give an apology. I'm sorry to the family in the courtroom. I wanted to give an opportunity for you to hear from the defendant, to perhaps hear an apology and remorse. I think that is not forthcoming, as we all saw. Mr. Gilman, anything else from the defense?
Nothing.
Okay, let's hear from the state what you're seeking and why.
Thank you, Your Honor. As to count one, the state is seeking the statutorily mandated sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count two, the state is seeking a consecutive mandatorily, well, that's not mandatory, a consecutive life without parole sentence for the death of Jennifer Tower, as well as the death of Robbie Tower. And as to count three, 5 years in the Department of Corrections, concurrent with count two. Thank you.
Mr. Gilman, anything you wanted to add?
No, Your Honor, I don't disagree with the statement. The sentence is statutorily mandated. I would just ask the court to impose the sentences on counts 1 and 2 concurrent rather than consecutive.
All right, thank you, counselors. You can be seated. All right, to the family, I know law enforcement is here who worked hard on this case. I want to thank you for your courtesy throughout the trial. I know it can be very hard to sit in a long trial where you have loved ones that were viciously and brutally murdered, as your loved ones were in this case. You respected the process, you respected the role of the judge, the jury, the witnesses, and you allowed for the trial to go through properly, efficiently, lawfully, which is our roles in the judicial system. You know, we serve a function and we need to make sure that happens. And so I appreciate your role in that. As the judge, I don't know the folks that are murdered or injured in cases. You realize I come into the story much later at a trial often or at a sentencing hearing. I can tell you that the role of the judge is very difficult sentencing most days. I anguish over sentencing decisions I have to make. I do it on a daily basis, 5 days a week, handling all types of different cases and have to make decisions as to whether someone goes to jail or not, or goes to prison or not, and if so, how long. And I think you can imagine in many cases, most cases, that can be difficult. You see the human compassion in people and you see mistakes can be made. Today, obviously, is not one of those days for me. Sentencing today is very easy. And I think it was Miss Lisa Huff, or actually, no, it might have been Laura Ely, I'm not sure, maybe both, who had a great insight in their statements that there's a role that the court has, and that is to punish and also to provide for the safety of the community. What I enjoyed this afternoon was, even though it was brief, learning about the terrific lives that this, I'm going to call them Robbie and Jennifer, lived. They seemed, and many of you used these words, that they were selfless. Some of you said that they gave the shirt off their back for others. They ministered to children and others, going as far as Ukraine and Russia to help those in need in South America. They were babysitters. They were a happy husband and wife. They were children to the parents we heard from, brothers, aunts, uncles. They just really seemed like terrific people. And it is a shame that in this great country that we live in, that we lost two shining stars. I hope that, and one of you mentioned this, that they live on in your hearts, in your memory. And I hope you realize that. I know you do. The grief, the anger will continue for time. But I hope you cherish, and I know you will, those memories, and lean on each other and the love and support of your family and celebrate what seems to be amazing lives of two great people, and they can be beacons for how you teach your children and how you continue to move on. Mr. Tower, I don't know what else to say. You seem to be an evil spirit, an evil person.
Evil spirit because you're talking foolish.
Who doesn't seem to have any.
I'm full of remorse. I'm not showing it because.
I will at this time, Mr. Tower, sentence you as to count 1. This is for first-degree murder of, count 1 was Robbie, is that right?
Yes.
Of Robbie Tower. I will sentence you to life in prison. You will serve the rest of your life in prison without the possibility of parole. Count 2, and often I do run them concurrent. I know that the defense requested that. We have a unique and clearly a special life in Jennifer Tower as well. And I spoke about that earlier. I am going to adjudicate you guilty of count 2, first-degree premeditated murder on Jennifer Tower. I will run this sentence consecutive to count 1. I will sentence you, Mr. Tower, to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Count 3, the fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement with lights and sirens. I'll adjudicate you guilty. Let's see, this is what degree felony? State here. Third. Sentence you to the maximum of 5 years in prison to run concurrent with count 2. I will order that you have no contact whatsoever with Robbie and Jennifer's family, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, parents, siblings. I will order restitution and reserve as to the amount. I'll order as a civil judgment against you court costs, a prosecutor fee, and public defender fee of $100 each. Are there any other statutory terms that I'm leaving out? State.
No, Your Honor, but I do have a score sheet for count 3, which is the only count that requires a score sheet.
Mr. Gilman, anything I left out?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Tower, you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of this court. If you cannot afford an attorney for that appeal, one will be appointed to represent you.
What about the truth?
Good luck to everyone. Court will be adjourned.